G'day kittywinks, time for another story about how a load of sentient bog clogs shot the living fuck out of a bit of 19th century Europe, Hungary to be precise. We had a wall of musket cyborgs doing the France prance right towards us, and if you think we stood a chance of actually beating them, there's a decent chance you're descended from one of my stupidity's strip mining swords. As usual for battles of the period, there were loads of horses charging about the place, so I had to follow the advice of the DJ from the club last night and put my men in a square like I just don't care. I had squares of all shapes, sizes and species, a fucking rainbow quadrilateral union where even the wonky-ass parallelograms were welcome, but even then it wasn't really doing the do, so the cav crashed on through. Guess they got therapy for their scare squares while they're at the shrink trying to resolve how living too close to the dairy was ruining their marriages. I got rid of them eventually via the old-fashioned method, but the Stabapalooza distracted the men from the wave of darkness approaching, letting the barrage de la bullets and shit take them by surprise. Things got pretty chaotic pretty fast, and our men were getting overwhelmed. I was busy trying to get our cav to have a little fun with the big guns out in the back. Yelling, smoke, bodily fluids all over the place. Oh, it was just like I was back on my stag do again. But no, it wasn't just livers getting murdered today. It was everything. Man, bot and horse. I've pretty much forgotten why we cared about Hungary so much in the first place anyway. Both sides were getting pwned up, but both sides also had extra armies in reserve. So the first brawl effectively ended in a draw, and then we got ready for round two. Might as well just fast forward to then, so while you wait, cover your ears with a couple of fireproof blankets, because I'm about to spin you a new one. Alright kids, I'm back with a brand new grimy track for ya.
Back with the super hot fire!
Yeah, and yeah, he's back as well. Gonna give him a verse in this one.
Gonna burn it up, yo!
Yeah, don't make me regret it, mate. Alright?
I'm a really good rapper.
Shut up, because this one starts with a chorus, it's a bit weird. You ready?
Crazy!
Napoleon, there's only one Napoleon. That other guy is just some dick. There's only one Napoleon.
G'day there mate, keep your distance now though, in my space bogans ain't allowed, so stay 10 feet right back from His Majesty. The tragedy is real, no pictures or tapestries. I'm old school, laying fire on French fools, rapping on a steam powered mic, ain't that cool? Whatever, your thoughts don't matter to this fella. Virginia was a dump, but thanks to me it's top stellar. Stop bringing up the number of deaths of my people, with so few brain cells you're never gonna keep all the buggers. Losing to the French worm tuggers, the lovers and mothers, ain't sad to lose another. We're getting off topic from what I had to say, which is how I'm the best in every single way. I conquer the world like cheeky child's play. Got a movie theatre in my Chevrolet.
Napoleon, there's only one Napoleon.
And he's coming at you live with the grimiest of rhymes right now, fam.
Just some dick.
What a dick!
There's only one Napoleon.
Ho, time for me to have a go! He's a big show, alright, you can hardly miss him. Big muscles, big crown, hard not to kiss him. Don't listen to rumours that Nappy was from France. That was just some dick, you shouldn't need to ask. Just listen, my Nappy boy's up in pole position. Always taking names, he don't need no one's permission to spit on the mic while he completes his mission to give history a much needed revision.
You flatter me.
Why, all seems like facts to me.
Factory, building up my ego's running double speed.
Rightly so, with rivals desirable as polio.
How'd you know?
Well, I gave both a go.
Wait, what?
I'm proud to watch us Sardine lines get plowed, knowing that they died so we'd be allowed to consume cheese products only via the mouth. I'm sorry till I die, first in, last out.
Napoleon,
that's me.
Hippity hop hop
there's
hip.
only one Napoleon.
True blue was the tinny of truth he just went through, mate.
On the streets.
Get out of here, you dick.
Stop fronting, you buster.
Yeah, go get yourself a real name. I mean, no, Napoleon's a pretty good name, but oh, for fuck's sake. Alright, like him, most folks are in my fan club. Even Japanese watch the Tinny Truth fan sub. I'm serious. I'll kill that guy who did steal his name from the game-changing legend. Do you feel this? I come in 3 flavours. None of them are cheeses. Spicy, very spicy, and oh sweet Jesus. The game's mine. The other nappy on his knees is rotten to the core because he's French. That's my thesis.
Cut. Frenchies.
Huh?
There's another French army.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Bloody hell.
Alright, well, give the order to kill them then. Let's go.
By the left, kill the French. Left, right, left, right, left, right.
So yeah, after that firefight, we ended up facing a second French army, forming up awkwardly at the back, probably wondering if it was politically correct to fight another battle on top of the piles of corpses from the first one. But their PC paralysis gave my army, which by this point was almost entirely cavalry for some reason, a chance to surround the enemy and start causing trouble. Now, some of the Frenchy Dragoons had some sort of point to prove as they broke formation to come over to my lines and get down from their horses, idiots, thinking they really had a better chance on foot, when I had enough companies right there to artificially inflate the values of complex financial instruments to my own profit, then mysteriously leave the market before a sudden drop in value destroyed trillions in investments and gets a load of unrelated parking ticket inspectors kicked out of their jobs. Sorry, I got a bit off topic. The point is that we cav charged those boots on the ground baguette bandits and killed them all. Come to think of it actually, when guys ride out in front of the army and get off their horses, it's usually when they're trying to negotiate a truce. Oh well, blood under the bridge I guess. After the Dragoon death derby, the enemy were looking a little uncomfortable, clinging to the edge of the pitch so I couldn't go around behind them. You might think that with all those guns, swords and cannons I could just ignore what the ref had to say and stray around the line now and again. But the last guy who tried crossing the line was sentenced to die by being thrown into a monster pit with a single bottle of water and the advice that the monsters were afraid of piss. Nasty way to go, your head being bitten off by a nightmarish horror while you're frantically pissing on your own face in front of a studio audience who can't stop laughing. Oh, did I mention it was a game show? If you survive more than an hour, you want a chance to not get buried in the mass grave behind the local McDonald's. The point is, we couldn't rear attack the French. What I could do was just punch up the guys on the edge of the line and hope that no one noticed. Kinda worked at first, but eventually the carrier slugs took a message to the French commander and he started mixing things up. He caused a bit of chaos actually, giving every unit a non-linear series of orders in the form of a hastily written choose-your-own-adventure book. The enemy are attacking your left flank. To fall back and form up in safety, turn to page 64. To let the attack continue as it is, turn to page 87. To form an infantry square and repel the attack, turn to page 101. Well, it's kind of hard to choose. 87 sounds interesting. Maybe I'll just take a little peek. You die in a humiliating fashion, the last sound you hear being the laughter of your barely trying opponent. Okay, that sounds bad, but I still had my finger on the original page, so I can choose again. You all saw it, right? Right, well, I don't care, it's happening. Right, page 101. You form an infantry square and make unsettling whistling sounds in the direction of the enemy. They bolt back in fear, unable to comprehend the advanced post-mathematics shape you have created. But then your commander has new orders for you. To find out what happens, turn to page 87. Oh, this is bullshit! Anyway, my attack failed because the enemy weren't the enormous pile of turd I had assumed them to be. The only upside to it all was that the death of my cav let me bring more infantry onto the field without breaking the local council's health and safety regulations or conducting field battles without too many CO2 emissions from all the mouth-breathing idiots dumb enough to be in my frontline armies. I put together something that might resemble an army if your eyes only render in 240p and advanced on the enemy. Meanwhile, the enemy had shifted a little, so I could get a bit of a sneak attack on their rear if I wanted, and what do you know, I spotted a load of dismounted dragoons back there. Now you've got to admire how these Frenchies adhered to the scientific method on this. They knew that one data point isn't enough to prove the hypothesis, so if they wanted to write a paper on the effects of getting cavalry charged by throwing away your main advantage and going to stand in the path of an overwhelmingly large advance, then they were going to have to repeat the experiment multiple times. So they all got killed as per the predictions of leading military scientist Captain O.B. Vius, I think his name was. But I was actually more interested in taking out their guns, as if I could do that, I'd be free to have a real good time with the howitzers I brought up. These weren't no bog roll slinging, sexuality redefining experimental howitzers either. This was a nice simple metal tube with a load of explosives in it, packed with smaller metal tubes with a load of explosives in them. It's the artillery equivalent of a double chocolate muffin. You know, I was thinking of inventing an equivalent of the triple chocolate muffin where all the artillery crew are covered in explosives as well. Might be an effective weapon, or if not, it'll be hilarious, so there's advantages either way. Now, the first shot actually hit my own cav and they all got wiped out when combined with the fact that the French were suddenly proving to be the world's foremost right-angle experts. At least the rain of fire and death prompted the enemy to get their act together and come back over to the battlefield for another round of King Napoleon's Bite the Bullet challenge. Any troop who managed to catch a bullet out of midair using only his mouth, regardless of what side they were on, won 2 free tickets to the Napoleon Museum, a dinner including a 5-star dingo steak prepared by the finest bearded drifters with a burning oil drum in the whole empire, and, on top of it all, a ride in Mars space catapult. With prizes like that on the line, both sides were willing to brave it all and bite the bullet! Well, some of the most enthusiastic contestants were actually these new guys, the 3E Regiment they called themselves. At first I thought it meant they were shit, because a 3 kinda looks like an arse, and the E looks like a shitter seen from above. But in fact, they were blowing the enemy away. Even the guys at the back were just shooting their muskets right up against the ears of the guys in the front. The confusion between the words death and deaf had never been greater. The actions of the refreshingly violent new guys, and the usual antics of the remaining cav, allowed us to finally hit save and send that battle off to the publishers, finding the enemy actually lost twice the numbers we did. Another great work by Europe's most beloved death author. The win left us free to attack the 5,000 Frenchies in Budapest with nearly 20,000 of our own troops, managing to win with a solid 1-to-1 kill-death ratio. Not going to be winning a Nobel Prize for death literature, but enough to keep the audiences happy until the publication of my next hit battle, Indiana Pones and the Mystery of the Five-Sided Square. Since I was now 8,000 men down on the deal, I needed to lay off the French flaying for a bit, try and get things organised, do stuff that's really boring, but at least the capture of Hungary meant that the enemy could only come from the north now. The only way is up, baby. Sure, they had us under siege at Vienna, and sure, I still hadn't sorted out the fact they were conquering down into Italy, but hey, can't a man sit back on his panda skin chair with a paprika cigar and enjoy a nice cool glass of Aztec tears once in a while? Whatever the answer is happening, so piss off, I'll get you another truth injection next time. Alright, well like him, most clopes are a fun thing. Like a chuck a don, like a bing bing. I can't talk.